Welcome into the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com for Saturday, December 10th. Tom Leach along with Keeneland's Director of Mutuals and Simulcasting, Jim Goodman. We're going to take a look at the pick 5, which also includes a late pick 4 at Gulfstream on Saturday. It's a big day for 2-year-old racing, a variety of 2-year-old stakes, distances and genders and surfaces. So it could be a fun card, and we're gonna start, Jim, in the 7th race, which begins the pick 5, mile turf race for 2-year-olds. Where did you land?
Well, I landed for my top pick on what's normal for me in a turf race. I really like Lemon Drop Kids on the turf, and Lemonist got put on the turf last time out after a debut on a sloppy track and won fairly easily. Won by 9 1/4 at Gulfstream West at this distance. No secret, they bettered him down to 4 to 5, and Pletcher trains him, Zayas rides him, so it won't be a great price here. But 7 to 2 on Morning Line is not a bad price on this horse. For the purposes of the pick 5 that we'll talk about later on, this is my top pick, but I'm also going to use Concomitant, Castellano for Brown. You got to bet Castellano Brown. I was looking at the stats. He's ridden 454 races for Chad Brown this year and won 29% of them. So he could be riding for Chad Brown and not ride for anybody else and make a nice living. Holiday Stone, the 12. I'm a little worried that I'm all outside here, but George Weaver stretches this horse out from 7 furlongs to a mile. Won last time out, barely hung on, and maybe takes a nice step up here. But I'm going to take Lemonist on top with the 11 and 12 behind him.
I went for the other Pletcher, the 8 Master Plan. I like that it debuted at Saratoga. It's a real high-priced 2-year-old, and horses coming out of 2-year-old sales. I like to look at those horses in 2-year-old races with the connections, looking to get a quick return on a big investment. And so I like those two factors, and Johnny V lands on this horse. So, and I think he'll be a little better price than Lemonist off the margin that Lemonist had. So I think it's one of those two is the likely winner. But I'm going to go Master Plan for a little better price and use Lemonist and Concomitant and also the 2 Avies Mesa. 8th race is the Buffalo Man, and I thought Recruiting Ready looked awfully good in here. Big class edge, 3 bullet works coming up to this, and this horse has kept some really good company, and just his 2-year-old's going 6 furlongs, ought to hit him right between the eyes. So I think Recruiting Ready is going to be a single for me. As far as the race itself, Talk Logistics, In His Image, and Sonic Mule are the ones that I would use with Recruiting Ready as the key horse in Exactus. How about you?
I agree with you. That was the first thing I wrote down. Recruiting Ready is a single here. There are a couple other possibilities. One of the horses that you mentioned. Plus, I think on the inside, Uncle B is the wild card here because he ran really well at Woodbine, but he's never run on the dirt. So he's coming off a synthetic track. Good effort at a $128,000 stakes race last time out. So they ship him down. Castellano rides. So I think Uncle B has got a shot at a price, but I'm right with you. Recruiting Ready is the top choice here and will be a single, I think, in the pick 4 and pick 5.
Smooth Air Stakes is the 9th race for 2-year-olds going a mile, which is a 1-turn race at Gulfstream. Who did you go with here?
This one's a little more open. I thought Fact Finding on the inside for Pletcher and Velasquez, 2 for 2. You've got to use him, obviously, but Sweet on the Ladies, the 2, jumped way up on the buyer scale last time out. At this level, $100,000 stakes race at Gulfstream West at 6.5 furlongs, and won pretty impressively after getting bumped, and the horse has gotten a lot of support in every race. And so I think unless he bounces, maybe they lift him off for a month, but he's got a chance to bounce off a 36-point buyer increase. But I would use him, and Capitaine, the 8, was 1 to 5 in the Grade 2 Nashua and stumbled at the start and lost all chance. There were only 4 horses in that race after they had got the muddy track. But if you go back to the maiden special weight breaker, there wasn't a muddy track on the Aqueduct race. There were just 4 horses in there, and he won on a muddy track at 7 furlongs. Went off at 1 to 5, had no shot after getting a terrible start. So Capitaine is got to be used here. So I'm going to use those 3, plus possibly Boss of the 4s, 2 for 2, and 1 at 1 to 9 last out, 27% trainer.
Yeah, I'm on most of the same ones. Fact Finding was my win pick here. I like the wins at Saratoga and Keeneland, and he's stretching out to a little longer distance, but I think it's a deputy commander mare, so that shouldn't be a problem. So fact finding, I like a good bit in here. Capitaine and Basha, the 8 and the 4, are the two that I had written down to use with the top pick. 10th race is the Wait a While Stakes. It's the last stake on the card. It's a mile turf race for 2-year-old fillies, and so it's a short run to the first turn. Not real wild about outside posts, but I did like the 14 horse, and I think maybe the jock can work out a trip from out there because this horse can come from off the pace a little bit. So I like Create a Dream, the 14, has run well from a couple of outside posts already. And I just thought there was a class edge here for this one with the company that she's kept. But I don't think it's by any means I could get come up with a standout here. So I would take her. A Party Boat also, the 8, the 9, Lady Alexandra, and the 12, Lady Hanson, who's a horse that I think has flashed some ability in the past and could be real dangerous here, but also is drawn outside. So Create a Dream is going to be my key horse, and use those other 3 in exactas with her, and use all 4 of those in my pick 4 and pick 5.
I believe if Create a Dream were in the 5 or 6 hole, you could single her. But I'm right with you. The 14 hole is no bargain here. But who she's run against is amazing. I mean, she wins this Chelsea Flower Bowl at Belmont last time out. And you go back to Miss Grillo, she got beat by New Money Honey, and all New Money Honey did is come back and win the Juvenile Turf, the Breeders' Cup. So she's by far the classiest filly in here after shipping over from Great Britain her first 2 races. But the 14 hole makes me take a closer look at it. I would use Party Boat, the 8, for Grand Motion. The other horse that you did not mention is a horse that I always try to look at Gulfstream. Silver Diva has raced 5 times on the Gulfstream Park turf and is 2 firsts and 3 seconds, so she's never been out of the money there. Ronnie Werner, not a hot trainer right now, but used to be really good with 2-year-olds, and this filly's run 8 times, so they haven't rested her much, but she may have a good effort, and she loves the course, obviously. So play her in top and bottom in your exactors, or at least underneath in the trifecta, because I think she's going to be right there. So I'm going to use the 8, 10, 14, and possibly a couple more here if you can afford it, because I really think the 14 hole hurts Create a Dream.
For my pick 5 ticket, I will use the 4 I mentioned in the pulpit, Single Recruiting Ready, then use the 3 I mentioned, Fact Finding, and the other 2 in the Smooth Air. Use the 4 I mentioned in the Wait a While, and then I like 4 horses in the last leg, the 12, 2, 5, and 9. If you want to trim that ticket down, then you could consider singling Fact Find and having a couple of singles in there, Fact Finding, and have back-to-back singles maybe. But with that poor post position for Create a Dream, I just couldn't narrow that down anymore. How about you for the pick 5?
Yeah, when you look at the pick 4s and pick 5s here, I mean, one of the things that sticks out in your mind is that these are 2-year-olds, and they ought to be more wide open than what they seem to be. I had a pretty good opinion on a couple of races here, and if Create a Dream were in a better post position, I'd have good opinions on 3 races. You can pretty well bet that there's going to be a chaotic finish to one of these races. And I'm hoping it's going to be the maiden 25,000 in the end, because I'm going to go deep there. So in my pick 5, I would use 3 horses that I talked about in the first leg, Concomitant, Lemonist, and Holiday Stone, the 10, 11, 12. Then I would single the 9 horse in the second leg, Recruiting Ready. I would go 3 deep in the third leg, the 9th race, with Fact Finding, the 1, Sweet on the Ladies, the 2, and the 8, Capitaine. Then 3 deep in the 10th race with the 8, Party Boat, the 10, Silver Diva, and my top pick, the 14, Create a Dream. And then the last race, I've got 5 horses written down. That cost $67.50 for pick 5. So I thought that was a fairly reasonable compromise. But with a $25,000 maiden claimer, you want to use the horses that have actually done something. But then I also like to use first-time starters, because a maiden 25 is just a crapshoot. The top horse in here is the 12, Misty Ballerina, but stuck outside with Mark Cassie and Le Peru, and dropping from maiden 50 to maiden special weight to maiden 25, and hadn't done a thing in the first 3 races. So I don't think that's a strong opinion there at all. The 5 horse Lago Lindo ran at this level last out, had a little bit of trouble to start, got a 50 buyer for Ralph Nick, so you got to use her. And then the 6, 8, and 11, Roll of a Lifetime, Stolen Sunday, and Fiore. are the three first-timers that I'll use. Fiore is an interesting choice because I don't know this trainer, Barbosa, but 22% first-time starters. So that's not a bad statistic to use. So 5, 6, 8, 11, 12 in the last leg for $67.50.
Could be a fun handicapping challenge with all these 2-year-old races on Saturday at Gulfstream. So best of luck, and we'll be back next week with another edition of the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com.